Okay, so I want you to have the exam in front of you. So for some of you, I have written some comments, but I also went through your scratch paper. If your scratch paper solution is reasonably correct, I have given you some points, and if for the multiple choice question I don't find any calculations there, you get 0 points if even if your answer is correct, because it means that you just guessed. And next time I will also give negative points for just random guessing. So if you random guess and it is wrong, of course it will affect your grade negatively. So anyway, that is the way that I have corrected. Okay, at least we can go through the exam and have the solutions for the future. Many of you actually did reasonably good in this exam. There are some unfortunate things when you want to write the exam. Some of you wrote the question wrong in the scratch paper and did the calculation of that correct. But of course, the problem is that I have to grade this according to what I have written. So be careful, especially for simple questions. Simple questions is the opportunity to pass the exam, you become relieved, and then you can go for higher grades. Of course, most of you understand what is going on, so let me just do this on the board here for you. Okay, so the first question, as you see, consider the following expression. If you expand and simplify this expression, the answer becomes equal to. So I want you to expand and simplify and put the answer here. Okay, and then if you just randomly write something here without any calculations in a scratch paper, it is not acceptable. So even your final answer is correct, but you don't have questions there. If you don't have calculation on the scratch paper, you will get 0 points. Okay, anyway, this I have written on the board and I want to simplify that. So what I do, I start multiplying this in. So it becomes 4x to the power of 2 plus 12x. I don't know, still many of you missed the idea of this minus sign. I told you there is no way that I can teach you unless you decide not to make that mistake over and over again. So I would put a minus sign here if I want to write everything. So I end up open here, and then I start multiplying this. Some of you used, I don't know, conjugate rule here. That's not conjugate rule because this is 2x plus 1. It should be 2x minus 1. Then you can use the conjugate rule. So it's not conjugate rule, so you have to multiply. So it becomes 4x squared. And then 2x minus 3 is minus 6x. And then 1 times 2x is plus 2x. 1 times minus 3 is minus 3. So then I write this again. And I distribute the minus sign in. I don't know how much I have to recall you about this. This minus sign is not only for this one, but for all the terms. So it becomes minus 4x squared plus 6x minus 2x plus 3. And then what you see is that 4x squared and 4x squared are not only similar, but also opposite. So they are cancelled totally. And then I have 12x plus 6x, 18x. Minus 2x is 16x. And then I have a plus 3. So if you have done reasonably good, I break the points, if it is in a scratch paper. I break it to 1 point and 1 point. 2 points for everything complete, 1 point for reasonably correct. If you have done the multiplication correct, but you have missed the minus sign somehow, I just give you 1 point because at least multiplication is correct. Okay? So we go back to the second question. Consider the following equation, yes? This equation that you see. The root, as I told you, what is the meaning of root? It means that the solution of this equation is x equals 2. I have also put this x equals 2, so you need to find the answer and just type it here. Okay, so that is here. So I have to simplify. So the simplification is extremely simple. The multiplication here, another multiplication there. So I multiply, it becomes x squared. Again, there is no rule here. It's not squaring rule, it's not conjugate rule. So you have to multiply. So it becomes x squared minus 6x, and then it becomes minus x plus 6. I just multiply them term by term. And on the right hand side, I just also multiply. So it is 5x plus 15 and then x times x is x squared, that is 3x. Yes, 5 times x, 5 times 3, x times x times 3, and then I have a minus 6x. For equations, it is better to simplify both sides first. So I would say that x squared, this is minus 7x, and this is plus 6. On the right-hand side, I write x squared first. Of course, it doesn't matter. And then 5x plus 3x is 8x, and then I have minus 6x is plus 2x. And then finally, I have 15 here. Okay, so what I do, I move x's to the left. These two terms containing x's are already on the left. I move this one to the left, it becomes negative. I move this to the left, it becomes negative. And then I move numbers to the right. 15 is already there. I move 6 to the other side, it becomes minus 6. Yes? And then this x squared and that x squared are cancelled, so it becomes minus 7x minus 2x, which is minus 9x. On the right-hand side, what do I have? 15 minus 6 is. Then I want to find x. I divide by minus 9. 9 over minus 1 is? Minus 1. The only thing that you have to type is just minus 1 in that box. Yes? So it was not hard. So please try not to be absent in the, they take them seriously, or at least make sure that you understand what is coming. Any questions? So it was also simple. So this one, it was simple. I don't know why many of you couldn't solve it properly. So consider the following expression. Yes, if you simplify this expression as much as possible, then it becomes equal to what is you are supposed to type here. Okay, so this is the question. I told you there is one simple algorithm to this simplification: factorization as much as possible. X minus 3 cannot be factorized anymore, so I can just write it there. But here I told you that there are two things that you have to remember, one from Math 1C and two rules from Math 2C, but Math 1C rule has priority. So if you remember just this simple remark that I have repeated many times during the lesson, you immediately take x out, yes? So x takes out and then it becomes x squared minus 9. I have given you some points, I don't remember 0.5 for this, just this taking this out. But then I don't know, some of you have simplified this x with that x, which I don't know how to teach anymore, to be honest. And some of you have simplified this x with that x, this 3 with this 9. These kinds of simplifications are not allowed. The rule is extremely clear and simple. You can only simplify common factors. Yes? Factors mean something which is multiplied by something else. So x and minus 3 are summands. They are not multiplied. Okay? So x squared. So only factors that you can see here is x, one factor, x squared minus 9 as a whole as one factor. And this is x minus 3. So if I ask you what are the factors in the numerator, you will tell me one of them is x, one of them is x squared minus 9. And if I ask you what is the factor in the denominator, you say x minus 3. And then you see that none of them are identical. So in this form, you cannot do any cancellations at all. Okay? If you don't respect that, you simply calculate something and you don't even realize that you have missed something. So you have to be patient, okay? And then what do you do next? In this form, nothing can be simplified, and I have dedicated 2 points for this. It is not reasonable just to factor an x, so it might be there is something that Babak has done to this question. Yeah, so it means that you think, and this hopefully is Math 2C lesson. This is which rule? Conjugate rule. So you go one step further. So this means that you write x minus 3, you copy this, you copy that, and then instead of this one, because this is the difference between two complete squares. So you put a plus and a minus, you put x here and there, you put 3 here and there. Now, I had 2 factors, but now I have 3 factors. But one of them is now in common, yes? So this factor and that factor totally can be simplified, yes? When you simplify, what is left here? 1. What is left there? 1. So the answer is x plus 3. This answer is correct. I will give you full points, but I myself prefer to, when nothing can be simplified, I multiply things back. It becomes x squared plus 3x. For some of you, I have written some comments. Please read the comments and try to screenshot the exam so that you can keep it. After 6 hours, it will be expired. Any questions here? You see, there is no way that I can teach you. I explain you, you understand at the spot, but you make the same mistake. That is you that you have to correct your error in your brain. Okay, question 4. Let us go to question 4. I am lazy to draw it on the board. I can show you here. Okay, consider the following figure. The area in area units of the colored region, means this square in the middle, is equal to which one of these items? Okay, I don't know. Some of you have solved it in different way. If the solution is correct, I give you the points. But from my perspective, I calculate the area of the big circle, and I will take the area of these rectangles from it. What is left for me is the area of the middle. Yes, is that reasonable? Okay, can I calculate the area of the big circle? Big square? Yes, because the sides are equal to what? X plus y. So if I want to find that area, I write x plus y to the power of 2. That will be the area of the bigger square. But what is the area of each one of those rectangles? These rectangles have length x, width y, all of them. Yes? So it becomes xy, the area of each one of them. But there are how many of them? 4. I take that off. Yes? So this question, if I want to solve it, I will solve it in that way. I would say that x plus y is the side of the bigger square. If I want to find this area, I have to raise it to power 2. This is the area of the big square. Then the area of each rectangle is how much? Is xy. Yes? But how many rectangles I have? 4. So I will multiply it by 4 and take it off. This is correct. But it is not in the options. Yes? If you go back here, so the options available are these. So it means that I have to see that which one of these options is equal to this one. Yes, I want to see which one of them is equal to this one. Then this is the Math 2C lesson. This is which rule? Squaring rule. So it becomes x to the power of 2. 2 times the first one times the second one, plus the second one squared, minus 4xy. Yes? But then immediately you realize that I have this similar, so it becomes minus 2xy plus y squared. Is this one in the options?
Yes.
Yes or no? Yes, and that is the first one. Yes?
Will I get a point if I choose the answer?
No. If there is no solutions, it means that's a random checking. You will not get at any points.
I did my solution in scratch.
No, I checked the scratch papers. You can come back, I can show you the scratch paper. If it is there, I couldn't see that, yes, I will of course return you the points. So that's the correct answer. Of course, I have written it in this way in the options. X squared and plus y squared first, and then minus 2xy. I haven't done it in this exam, but can you continue to write something else? Might be, for example, this was not in the options. This is the answer to the problem, that option. But you can also continue and factorize it. It is x minus y to power 2. Okay, x minus y to power 2 is not in the options, but x squared plus y squared minus 2xy is in the options, so that's the answer. Okay? So it was not hard. Many of you actually did this one reasonably good. It is lengthy calculation, I agree, but it is not hard. Okay?
And I have broken, because each one of these questions has 4 points, so I have broken down the points. But let us try to analyze the problem. How do you solve that? Of course, you know what to do. You use a squaring rule here, a squaring rule here, a squaring rule here. But for this one, some of you have multiplied. I'm okay with that. Some of you have used the rule again in the way that we had in one of our lessons. But let us try to solve it. But again, random guessing will not bring you any points. Even wrong understanding and the answers correctly will not bring you points. So if I want to answer this question, I will raise it to power 2. What should I do? It becomes, so you can break it in down. By the way, this is some of you have done it and I really like that. So why we should solve all the problems in one go? So for example, you can say that let us concentrate here, not to make mistakes. For this one, let me call it part A. And this one, let me call it part B. And then subtract them. You have to be creative in what you are doing in the exam. So part A is equal. This is the new rule that we learned in Math 2C. A squared squaring rule plus 2ab plus b squared. Yes? And then what do I have here? Plus b squared plus 2bc plus c squared. And then here plus a squared 2ac plus c squared. Okay, don't leave it like this. Part A is not still finished because I see a squared appears here and there. It becomes 2a squared. Yes? Am I recording? Yes. So then I have 2b squared. This is b squared. Then I have c squared is 2c squared. And then I have to copy and paste the rest. This is part A. That's it. It is lengthy, but it is a matter of seconds to finish. The second one, B, I don't know which way you have done it. Some of you have multiplied that, that's okay. But let me use the rules as much as I can. So this is not the only way to do it. Keep silent, please. So here I told you 3 numbers can be viewed as 2 numbers by putting 2 of them in a pair of brackets. If in this case you have used multiplication, that's okay with me. But let us use this one. So now this is my first one. So it becomes the first one squared plus 2 times the first one times the second one plus the second one squared. And then it becomes another squaring rule, a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, and then I multiply 2 from the left, c from the right, so it becomes 2ac plus 2bc, and then c squared. So you see it was nothing. It seems lengthy, but it is very trivial calculation. The only thing that you have to be careful about is my question mark is a minus b. So this means that I have to write my a, which is this one, minus b. But minus b means minus the whole thing. And minus the whole thing means minus each one of them, because that minus sign will go for all of them. So it becomes minus a squared minus 2ab minus b squared minus 2ac minus 2bc minus c squared. That's it. And then you see that I have 2a squared, 1a squared with negative sign, so it becomes a squared. I have 2b squared, 1b squared with negative sign, it becomes b squared. The same story for c squared. But the rest of the terms are cancelled. So this 2ab and 2ab are gone, 2bc and 2bc are gone, and 2ac, 2ac are gone. That is the correct answer. Okay, so Omar, you made a mistake there. So I have described that, but that is, let me explain, because this mistake might be. So he has done it in that way. So minus a plus b plus c, a plus b plus c. Okay, so this is the problem is finished here, and that's the correct answer. But I'm just telling you because I want you to understand. So he has written minus correctly, a plus b plus c to power 2a plus b plus c times a plus b plus c. The only mistake that you have done is that you have taken this minus sign and applied it here and there, which is not correct. You have to decide. You have to put minus sign only for the first one every term, or for the second one every term. Why? Because when I say minus means minus 1, multiplied by 2, multiplied by 3. If I ask you what the answer to this is, what do you do? Minus 6. So you don't make mistake here. You need to see why you made a mistake. So you didn't multiply minus 1 here and there. You just multiplied minus 1 by one of them and then multiplied the result. That's the same strategy here. So be careful, because this mistake is more advanced than the other mistakes, so thus I want to warn you about that. Do you understand that this minus 1 does not go here and there? Yes, because that's a multiplication. But you did it correctly. You put the minus sign for all of them. That part is correct. But this minus sign, you have to decide, is either for that one or for this one. Exactly like here. You can say minus 1 times 2, minus 2, times 3, minus 6. Or if you want, you can say minus 3, and then times 2 again, minus 6. But you are not allowed to write minus 2, minus 3, because in that case, the answer becomes 6, which is not correct. So be careful about that. When you get confused which rule is correct, try to simplify it for you by the way that I did it for you. Then immediately you understand which one is correct. Okay, so these are the A, E, and C level questions. Okay, let us see what are the A level questions. So this will be question number 5 and 6. Question 5 was very easy, I would say. Of course, I put it as A level question. It means that you need to understand what to do. But I was a little bit surprised that you struggled a lot. I was thinking that many of you could solve it very easily. Okay, so might be because I put the title of A-level question, you already freak out, but you shouldn't be like that, so you have to have experience. So that is the first A-level question. If x and y are positive numbers such that this, then the exact value of x over y in decimals is equal to this. So one common mistake is some people were able to guess x and y. If you did it doesn't work, and you would get 0. Unless you have a solution for yx, because there is no 1x and 1y here. Yes? If I ask you how many x's and y's you can find possibly to fit this equation, there are infinitely many pairs. There's not just one single pair. And if you find that one single pair and then you calculate this for that single pair, it is not correct, because I might ask you, how do you know that this becomes the same number if you have chosen another pair? It is a good trick to understand the answer, but because I also check your scratch paper, it's not enough. Because by this trick, you can find the correct answer. Because if you come up with a pair that works, and then you divide that pair, of course, if the question is clear, for every pair it should be the same, because I have put only one box here. It means that for every pair, the number should be the same. Do you understand what I mean? So if this is an exam in which you need to write the number and go on, this is a very good trick. And of course, if you come up with this trick, it means you're already smart. It might be you deserve the A point. But it means that if my goal is to just find the answer without understanding, this is one of those questions you can come up with by just guessing one x and one y if you can, and then calculate it for that x and y. But mathematically, I want you to understand this is not a reasonable solution. Yes? Because there are infinitely many x's and y's that satisfy this equation. We want to know if all those x's and y's are given and I divide them, what will happen? Is that clear? Okay, so let me solve this here on the board. So the question is this. So might be you haven't still mastered the forms. Okay, so first of all, let me explain about the mistake. Some of you have taken a square root from here and a square root from there. So far, so good. But the mistake happens I don't know how many times. As you see, you will not learn. This is not hard. The reason that you don't learn or you make the same mistake because you don't want to pay attention, or I don't know, you need to fix it in your brain. So far, so good. First of all, you have to put plus and minus, okay? Forget about that part. But then some of you have written 2x plus y here. So I have told you that this is not correct. They have taken the square root of this plus the square root of this. Don't do that once for all. It is better not to write this, yes, because it shows that you understand this is wrong, yes? So don't do that. And some of you have divided by 4. Okay, if I divide by 4, I have to divide everything by 4. This is not a correct way of dividing by 4. When I divide by 4, I divide this by 4, I divide that by 4, I also divide that by 4. Okay? Some of you have divided by 4 like this, and then do that. And then they say x plus y is the square root of x. Again, taking square roots like this. So you are making a lot of mistakes. So it is very important for the hard question, don't try to write nonsense. It is better not to write anything just thinking. It's better than writing random things because it will distract your brain. Why should you write nonsense on the paper? Okay? So, the only trick in this problem is to move this to the left. Okay, so then what happens? It becomes 4x squared. This becomes minus 4xy plus y squared is equal to 0. And I don't know, many of you didn't see this squaring rule immediately. That is a squaring rule, isn't it? Factorization of a square root. What is this? 2x. This is the negative version. Minus y to power 2. Let us double check. The first one is squared, correct? 2 times the first one, 4x, times the second one, 4xy with negative sign, correct? And y squared. So this can be written here equals to 0. So up to here you get some points, I don't remember. But the next part is extremely simple, isn't it? This is why I don't understand. You have a number, you shouldn't get distracted. You don't know this, but you know something. You know whatever this number is, to power 2 is 0. So then what is the question mark? So this means I want to look for a number whose second power is 0. Is that hard? Which number is that number whose second power is 0? 0. So this means that the question mark is what? 0. If the question mark is 0, what does it mean? It means 2x is equal to what? Y. Yes or no? This is the conclusion. But the question mark, what was the question mark? The question mark is what is x over y? Y is 2 times larger than x. So x is x, y is 2x. So what's the answer? Is x, and x can be simplified because these are factors. What is left is 1 over. So the correct answer is 1 over 2. But because I have mentioned to exact value in decimals, so what you are supposed to type in is 0.5. So this is the experience. You need to ask yourself why I couldn't see the pattern. You see, E-level questions and C-level questions. If I have given you this and I ask you factorize it, I would say that you could do it. And of course, then it would be an E-level question. There is no twist in that question. But I haven't asked you to factorize anything directly, but I mean factorization. These kinds of twists are actually harder questions. So harder questions are not really hard. So they are asking you questions in a different way. So instead of asking you to factorize this, I just relied on your knowledge to just move this to the left and factorize and conclude something. So this is why we say one question is harder. I told you several times, a harder question is a combination of simple questions. So don't underestimate E-level questions. you have to be very good in calculating E-level questions very fast. Because in those questions, there is no twist. They ask you factorize, they ask you expand. By doing them, you gain knowledge. And then hopefully you can apply the idea in a harder question, which is a combination of several E-level questions. Okay, so the only, I would say, hard question is probably question number 7. And even if you miss these 3 points, still you don't miss A. But unless you don't solve some of the previous ones. So even the last question, which is harder than the other ones, it will give you 3 points. If I take it off, then you are left with 17. The threshold for A is 16. So even if you must miss one A-level question, you still don't lose the chance of getting an A. Okay? And for B, the threshold is 13.5. It's not that high. So you can immediately lose both of them. So what is left for you is 14. Still, it is enough to get a B. Okay, so getting A and B, A might be a little bit harder, but B is not that hard. And then remember, this is only 4 or 5 pages of the book. And then we will increase the pages. And of course, have you seen that we will have another quiz, not this week, next week, Friday. I try to keep it every other week. Okay, please take them seriously, come to the quizzes and try, because if I'm teaching, I am solving them, of course you listen, you learn, but being in the exam environment is different. Okay, the final one. The perimeter of a right angle triangle is equal to 10 centimeters. This, if the question is a lot of words, I read it 2 times. This is the way I do it. So, the perimeter of a right angle triangle is equal to 10 centimeters if the hypotenuse is of length 3 centimeters. The exact area of this triangle is equal to, and I have put my centimeters squared here, so you just need to find a number and put it here. Okay. So the first thing I will do for this one, as you many did correctly, by drawing a picture. Okay, so I know that I have a right angle triangle. So let me just do it here. So I have a right angle triangle. You don't need to be precise in your pictures, so just draw something for you. This is my right angle triangle. So I know that the perimeter is 10. Okay, when I say perimeter is 10, I don't know, I keep numbers. For example, let me say this is A, this is B, and this is C. I know that the hypotenuse is what? 3. So I don't need to write C. I just write 3. Not to confuse myself, okay? This is my situation. I know the perimeter is 10. What is the meaning of the perimeter? It means the problem is telling me that A plus B plus 3 is what? 10. Yes? So then what happens? It means A plus B is 7. It's a reasonable thing to put it in a box. It's relevant information. I am just translating the first English sentence into mathematical symbols in a summarized form. So A plus B is 7. Okay, and the question is asking you about what? The exact area. So you need to think in this way, because the solution is not immediately clear in front of you, but you know what is your question mark. Your question mark is the surface area. You need to check it if you don't remember it, but hopefully everyone knows what is the area of the triangle. What is that? It's 1/2. Which one times which one? The base multiplied by the height divided by 2. This is the S. So it is good to write it in a scratch paper to concentrate on what you want to find. Yes? So now you see the information that you have here is A plus B 7. And then what you want is A times B, essentially. Because if you know A times B and then you divide by 2, you have your answer. Then you need to write this in front of you and think. But the question is clear. How can I go from A plus B to an information regarding A times B? So this is the only thing that you have to think. It doesn't matter, think 10 minutes. But don't write something random. Okay? So now tell me, if I want to go from here to here, one possibility is to find A and B and put them here. but give up this idea. Why? Because I have mentioned a lot in the lesson that how many pieces of information is this? How many? This piece of information. How many pieces of information is this? One. It's one equality. It's one piece of information. How many unknowns are there? Two. Give up. One piece of information is not enough to find two unknowns. So that idea, even though natural, will not work here. So give up the idea to find A and B. So then you have to find another way. Do you have any idea?
Can you move, for example, you find A?
But you find A in terms of B.
Yes.
But then you put it here, B will be left. Still B is unknown. That's what I'm saying. I even don't try it. This idea comes to my mind. But I don't need to spend time on writing it down. Because it is not hard. What you said, I move B to the other side. So A becomes 7 minus B. I put it back here. 7 minus B instead of A. And then B. And then 1/2. Okay. Don't spend time on calculating this. Because what is clear is that B will be left unknown. So why should I pursue this idea? It is useless at the end. These are the skills that you have to learn. So this idea will not work. Yes?
Can we square A plus B?
Okay, why squaring is a good idea? Because the most famous equation about a right angle triangle is what? Pythagoras theorem. If you don't remember anything about Pythagoras at that moment, of course you will not be able to solve the problem. So I told you that this is one piece of information. Another piece of information is based on your previous knowledge, and that is Pythagoras theorem. So in principle, how many pieces of information I have? 2. Yes? But what is the other one? A squared plus what? B squared is what? 9. Some of you wrote this, but immediately you made the mistake taking the square root signs. And then you have written A plus B is 3. Do you think Pythagoras is crazy? Because if it is, think a little bit. If you write C squared is equal to A squared B squared, C is equal to A plus B, this one is simpler than that one. Do you think Pythagoras was crazy to write his equation like that, not like this? If it is possible to take a square root, do you think Pythagoras didn't understand to take square roots? So it means that this is not possible. But still you insist on the same mistake. Isn't it crazy? Think about it. Something wrong in mathematics is good at this. It's not social science. Yes? Sometimes this is good, sometimes the other method is good. Mathematics, if this is wrong, this is wrong. Okay? So at least you wrote this one. Now what do you think we can do? So you see that I have this one according to the problem, I have this one according to my knowledge, but still, unfortunately, I need product. So the only thing that makes this A-level question is we practiced on these questions. I raise this one to power 2. Okay? Why? Because it will give me A squared, B squared somehow that I can use here. So what I do, this is reasonable. A plus B to the power of 2 is 7 to power 2. And don't write immediately A squared plus B squared. This is not A squared plus B squared. What that is? It is A squared plus 2AB plus B squared, always. And this is 49. Yes? Okay, but A squared and B squared added, I know something about them. What is that? This one is 9. So I write 9 plus 2AB is 49. Is that right?
Yes.
And then move 9 to the other side. So 2AB becomes 40. What is your AB? What do I need? I need AB. So I put it back here. The question mark is not AB, is 1/2 of AB. And this becomes 1/2 times 20, which is
10.
So the area is also equal to the perimeter from the number point of view. So you see the algebra is not complicated. The idea might be a little bit complicated. So you need to teach at this moment, you have to be aware, conscious about your mistake. Otherwise you will not learn. But was it hard? No. Okay. If I were you, when I want to do the exam, I will start from the simple questions. And by the way, simple questions are straightforward. What does it mean? It means that might be they are lengthy sometimes. There is no secret idea behind them. If you have studied your lesson, of course, if you haven't studied, you will be in trouble. But if you have studied your lesson, in these questions, I erased them. So for example, in this question, this is not you don't need to be creative here. I am just testing your memory, testing your knowledge about this. You see, it's straightforward. And this is lengthy, but no trick in there. I'm just doing things quickly. But here you have to be creative, here you have to be creative. So do these questions that are simple immediately fast and save a lot of time for harder questions. So that is the skill. Some of you might start from the hard questions, that's not a good idea. Anyway, so I hope that you have enough experience now, and then we will do the next quiz later. Any questions for the quiz? So as I told you that the link that I sent to you, read the comments that I have written for some of you, and then take a screenshot so that when it comes to the main exam, if you want to practice something and review, you have the questions as well, because it will be expired. Any questions for the quiz? Just wait a moment. Yes?
Is this at the level of the main exam or higher or lower?
No, that will be the main exam. But of course, main exam is harder because it covers very big portion of the book. Yes.